makes his first NFL touch, 39 yards, breaking 3 tackles in the process. See, how cool was this?
Listen, this is L. Bell in the hole and then Zeke Elliott with the burst.
Okay, I can buy that, yes. I can buy that. There's no hole there, so get used to that, young fella. When you can make the Giants' offensive line look good, that's all him. Jump cut, accelerate through the hole, making a big play. 39 yards for the Giants' offense. I'm going to have to look in the last several years how many rushers they've had over 30 yards.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
All right, moving on. Ravens quarterback, rookie quarterback, and former Heisman winner Lamar Jackson. He had a better showing in his second outing, juking 2 defenders and finding the end zone.
Big man 93, see, you pointed it out first time I saw this highlight. I mean, he takes him to a knee.
Oh, yes. Could have hurt himself. This is what Lamar Jackson can do. What are the things he's going to struggle at? Straight drop back and being able to go from number 1 receiver 2 to 3. Ozzie Newsome and the staff there, they're very happy as far as he's developed through the first 2 weeks of preseason because they played in the Hall of Fame game.
That's right. All right, Steelers wide receiver Juju Smith-Schuster absolutely mosses poor Rasul Douglas. Goes on to score a 71-yard touchdown.
I was worried for Juju right there.
Oh, yeah.
When the guy falls on the back of his heel or his Achilles, but he shakes it off. And big year for him with Martavis gone. There's been a high draft pick on him out at USC.
The one thing, too, you have to watch for Juju Schuster playing a lot more outside. Last year, Martavis played in the slot, was dominant at times, but he's going to have to be able to make a big impact outside those numbers.
All right, last we have. Anytime we play the music like this, you know great. Something is not.
Usually involves Little League.
So here we go. This is Josh Allen. It was not a great play.
What's that like in the film room for him, see?
Not good. Not good. But the phone call to his mom after the game was the one that was really alarming. He was like, "Mom, it was brothers chasing me." "What do you mean, son?" No, I mean brothers. I mean, you got some. No, you're the only male in the family. No, Mom. I mean brothers.
Yes. We're not in Wyoming anymore.
No, sir.
Not the Mountain West. It ain't that.
One guy who didn't play last night, Dez Bryant. He remains unsigned. Yesterday, reports surfaced that Dez was not returning calls from the Browns about coming in to try out for their team. But Dez did hop on Twitter because it seemed more efficient, apparently, than just answering his phone. He then tweeted, "Starting my visits next week, I'm coming to the land to see you, Mr. Dorsey." So, go ahead.
Just real quick, before you ask your question, I just want for the audience to know that's not as into social media as I am. When Jenna says reports, the reports were John Dorsey said in front of the media, Dez won't answer my phone calls. Like, it wasn't...
Like literally, he himself got up on a podium and said, I tried calling him, he didn't answer.
I don't even think we have to, say it was a report. The GM of the Browns said, we'd love to bring Dez in. If I can get him on the phone, he won't answer my calls. And then he went on a bit of a tweet storm watching the games and announced he was going to come
And that is not a colloquial phrase like, I'm thinking about, he said, I reached out and called and he did not answer my call.
So there's the context there.
So, I'll ask you, let's just talk about this from a football perspective first. Is Dez Bryant a good fit for the Cleveland Browns?
I do believe he's a good fit. I do believe because John Dorsey, him reaching out to players like Dez, because let's go back a week. A week ago, they traded a high-round draft pick in Coleman to Buffalo as a wide receiver. So at that time, they probably thought, obviously, we got enough legs in the room. We got enough bodies to be able to field a good wide receiving corps. So it tells me a couple things. It tells me that they're concerned about Josh Gordon now, because you wouldn't call a veteran, especially a veteran possession bigger receiver, different than the body type of Landry that you have, Callaway, who's starting now, Antonio, who is a young receiver. I believe that he fits in because I believe that Landry is more of he can play outside, but he can also play in the slot. He's a volume wide receiver, so you have to throw him the ball a lot. Dez can be the physical receiver, and Antonio Callaway, if he's able to stay out of trouble, he can be the guy with the speed, the burst, and the wiggle to give them the variety to have a very good passing attack. So I believe with their wide receiving room, their wide receiver coach is a guy that's coached dynamic guys. He coached Odell Beckham, coached Landry, coached both of them in college, coached Odell with the Giants, Todd Haley being the offensive coordinator, and Hugh Jackson being a former coordinator and a wide receiver coach. So they have the people there that would be able to handle people like Dez Bryant or wide wide receivers that typically are going to play with a lot of energy and express their opinion. So I believe that he would be a good fit for the Browns.
And this might surprise some people, but see, you're rooting for Dez to have a quality third act to his career. You have two now Hall of Fame.
A second act.
Well, I would almost call the first act the good time in Dallas, the second act the last 3 years in Dallas, and this be a third act.
Right.
And so that's why I said
it would mirror some other people that had similar situations.
And a couple of those people it would mirror are now two of your Hall of Fame brothers. One you're very close with in Randy, and one not as close with, obviously, in T.O. But I think people maybe forget, now that they're Hall of Famers, that those guys had moments in their careers, maybe not quite as desperate as Dez appears to be right now, but where it looked like it was not ending in Canton.
Randy Moss's was just as desperate when he had left Minnesota and they gave up on him, and then he had 2 bad years. T.O., it was people, did they want to have him on the team? So it's a different level of concern, but both of them, they had to resurrect their career, and they resurrected by falling in love with working out. That's why both of them are workout warriors. And Dez Bryant, does he have that would be able to change the arc of his career like Moss did, ended up in the Hall, and a lot like T.O. did when he bounced from team, when he left San Francisco.
Right.
The word on the street about him was not good.
And if they don't remember the history of where Randy was, Randy, one of my favorite players ever, I'm not denigrating, but where he was at the end of the time in Oakland, the Pats got him for nothing.
Yes.
It was, I believe, a 6th-round pick that could turn into a 4th.
And immediately made him take a pay cut.
Yes. We remember, and then he went to the Pats and had either the greatest or the second greatest single season receivers ever had. They said they went undefeated, and he had multiple great years in New England. But that's not where the trajectory was headed. And so Dez doesn't have Randy's talent, but he's a super talented player. I'm just worried, Jen, about the things I think you're worried about.
Of course. And we're all talking about personality conflicts and how he's going to match up. But we talk about it from out here. Oh, how is his personality going to match up with a guy like Baker Mayfield? Or Tyrod Taylor is a young guy. But, Cece, bring me into a locker room. Tell me how that works you have to have a good relationship with your quarterback and your wide receiver. You have to be able to talk and constantly be on the same page and have open communication. And if you're going to get frustrated, be able to sort of wipe that off. So if you break it down for the things that we don't get to see, what is that relationship like? Let me add to that question,
because you were in Yellowstone this week and your favorite show, Hard Knocks, got going. And there was a famous moment that we talked about, Jarvis Landry yelling at the wide receivers room. How does that go over with Dez in that room? Does that even happen with Dez in that room?
He's not talking to Dez. And if he is talking to Dez, he's let Dez know before the meeting, I'm getting ready to say something, and we've agreed that he's going to back him up.
Okay.
Dez is a practice warrior. We've heard the stories about Dez in practice. The thing about NFL locker rooms is totally different. You don't need as much chemistry as you think. You don't have to like everyone. That's across the board. We know that. It's 60 guys, sometimes 70 guys. No, it's a bunch of different personalities, but you do need leadership. And we know that what they're trying to do with Todd Haley in that offense and how he had those guys prepared,